What if I told you that almost every night while you were sound asleep, someone was coming into your house and taking a little bit of your hard-earned money? Not a lot, just a little bit so that you might not even notice. And what if I told you that by the end of the year, that person may have taken about 3 to 4% of your money? Would you believe me? Would you care? Or perhaps most importantly, would you do something about it? Well, whether you believe or care, the truth is there is a silent thief out there who does eat away at your money and does make it much harder for you to achieve your financial goals. The thief's name? Inflation. Hi, my name is Andrew Wahlberg, and I'm a financial advisor for Glass Jacobson, a wealth management firm in Owings Mills, Maryland. I have worked in the financial services industry since 2006, helping people address their financial challenges and achieving their financial dreams. In those years, I've worked with a wide variety of people in a variety of backgrounds, and I've been amazed by how so few people really understand investing, financial planning, and the forces out there that both work for and against them in their attempts to achieve their objectives. So I've put together a short series of videos called Hard Financial Truths, Sane Investing Lessons for a Crazy World that will provide practical information and strategies that can help you become financially successful. Now, the topics may seem like small things, like inflation, but when you add them up and put them all together, they really are a big deal. And they can really make the difference between being financially successful and financial failure. In this video, I'm going to explain to you what inflation is, how it affects you, and why you need to pay attention to it and plan for it as part of a comprehensive financial plan. Before we get started, let me go through some obvious but necessary disclaimers. This is not investment advice. This is purely for informational purposes. Before you make any investment decision, speak to your financial advisor to make sure the decision is the right one for you and your specific circumstances. I have done my best to ensure that all information is accurate and, when relevant, cited where the information came from. Now we are ready to talk about inflation, almost. But first, what exactly is money? Money is purchasing power. It's simply your ability to buy stuff, goods and services like a car or a house or electronic gadgets or clothes or whatever other stuff we like to get. Inflation is typically defined as a sustained increase in the general level of prices for goods and services. In other words, inflation is when stuff gets more expensive. Another way of looking at it is that in order to buy the same stuff, you will continuously need more and more and more money in the future. Now, the federal government uses something called the Consumer Price Index to measure the average change over time of how much we spend on specific groups of goods and services. Basically, they track the prices in 8 main categories, including food and beverage, housing, apparel, transportation, medical care, recreation, education, and other areas such as tobacco, haircuts, and funeral expenses. And each year they let us know how much prices increased, inflation, or in the rare instances when prices decreased, deflation, and by how much. As you can see from these years randomly selected, inflation on a yearly basis can range greatly. But over the long run, between 1926 and 2011, inflation has averaged 3%. That doesn't sound too bad, right? Well, let's take a look at what that really means. Take a look at this chart. We start off today with $100,000 in purchasing power. In 5 years, with 3% inflation, the value of that $100,000 will be worth just $85,873. In other words, in 5 years, it will cost you $100,000 to buy what today would have only cost you $85,873. In 15 years, that value drops to $63,325. And lastly, in 30 years, to $40,101. That means that in 30 years, you will need $100,000 in order to buy what you can today for $40,101. That is a nearly 60% reduction in your purchasing power. Think about that in terms of retirement. If you retire at age 65, you could very well live 30 years until you're 95. That's 30 years of living without a paycheck. And that's 30 years of having to make your money stretch to not only cover all of your expenses, but to offset the effects of inflation as well. There are a lot of reasons why we invest. To grow our money, to buy a second home, to pay for college for kids or grandchildren, and to retire. But without a doubt, one of the biggest reasons is to simply beat inflation. Because look at the following graph that compares different types of investments. What you are looking at here are the returns of several different asset classes: small U.S. stocks, large U.S. stocks, U.S. government bonds, treasury bills, all compared to the 3% inflation rate. And as you can see, holding your money in what is considered to be the safest and most liquid investment, it barely keeps pace with inflation. Next are U.S. government bonds, which start to put some distance between itself and inflation. But when you finally get to stocks is where you really see the wide spread. The point of showing you all of this is to let you know that inflation is real and that you can't hide from it. It's something that you need to plan for as part of a comprehensive financial plan designed to meet your specific circumstances and objectives. So here are the 5 key takeaways you should take. Inflation is a real and wealth-destroying force. There is a cost to doing nothing with your money. You must factor inflation into your returns. $1 today is highly likely to be worth less in the future. The equity asset classes have shown themselves over the long time to significantly outpace inflation. Thank you so much for listening. I really enjoyed preparing this video for you. If you think others can benefit from the information, please send it out to them. And if you'd like to discuss this or anything else, you can reach me at the following phone number or email address.